Hello, welcome back and nice to see you. Another phenomenon I would like to talk about is haste. In Brussels, people are always in a hurry. Lawmaking seems to be a race against time. Why is that? And what causes this emphasis on speed during the negotiations? And what is the impact on the policy that's discussed? The answer is not in the time limits of the ordinary legislative procedure. This procedure is now displayed. Article 294 of the Treaty on the Functioning of the EU describes the various steps that need to be set in order to approve a proposal for a European law. It only provides time limits for the second reading of the procedure. This reading starts the moment the Council and Parliament disagree on the proposal, while the Council determines its common position after Parliament has proposed its amendments. In the first reading, no limits apply. Furthermore, data on European legislative output shows that by far most proposals are nowadays adopted in the first reading. The reason for haste thus cannot be attributed to the legislative procedure and must have a more of a political origin. The main reason for time pressure is that the European legislators would like to respond to rapidly evolving challenges with important cross-border effects. In addition, European decision-making has a number of features which further speed up this process. The first feature is the rotating presidency of the Council of Ministers. Every member state will chair the meetings in the Council, including meetings of the high-level group like Coursera and the working parties negotiating specific policy dossiers for half a year. This offers member states a limited chance to set their own priorities on various European dossiers. This may allow for some fresh input from the new presidency, perhaps moving dossiers that have become stuck. However, after the coming into force of the Lisbon Treaty, this system has changed. First, the Lisbon Treaty introduced a number of permanent chairs, including the President of the European Council and the High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy. The High Representative permanently chairs the meetings of the Foreign Affairs Configuration of the Council. In addition, to strengthen the coordination between the different presidencies, the three member states that will be holding the presidency in the coming period need to work together as part of the troikas in Eurospeak or trios. These trios determine the longer-term rolling political agenda of the EU for a period of 18 months. It is a rolling agenda since every half year the former presidency leaves the group while a new member state joins these trios. That member state will have input on the agenda next to the other two. Within this agenda, each presidency may set its own priorities for a period of 6 months. In this way, member states hope to safeguard the continuity and consistency of the policy agenda. However, the presidency still has an incentive to move certain dossiers during their term. Being able to conclude a number of key dossiers is good for the political reputation of lead ministries and the government. Although the choice of priorities may be less erratic as in the past, this system still creates pressure for speed. The national negotiators only have about half a year in order to move and conclude important dossiers. The second source for time pressure are informal negotiations that have developed under the ordinary legislative procedure. Having started as informal consultations before the Conciliation Committee meetings, a system of trilogues has developed. These meetings are not part of the formal legislative procedure, but standing practice in Brussels. After the formal submission of the Commission proposal, a group of representatives from the Council, Parliament and the Commission come together to discuss whether they can negotiate a compromise between these three institutions. The rapporteur and the Commission chair from Parliament are there, sometimes accompanied by the shadow rapporteur from other political parties in case of sensitive issues. Other participants are mostly senior civil servants from the country that holds the presidency of the Council and officials from the Commission. If these negotiators succeed, based on the mandate of the institutions, the proposal can swiftly be passed as legislation. This saves each side from a much longer process through the second and third reading of the formal legislative procedure. A third source of pressure for haste is created by the permanent change in coalitions within the Council of Ministers. Having at the moment 28 member states in which governments are formed after general elections for 4 to 5 years means that there is always a substantial number of member states that have elections and perhaps a change in government. This permanent state of change reduces the time horizon of many actors and may mean that emerging coalitions on some dossiers may rapidly change. This also puts pressure on negotiations. Better have a deal today than perhaps a slightly better one tomorrow, because it can be then off the table. Time pressure in these negotiations between 28 member states, the party groupings in the European Parliament and the Commission means that negotiators cannot be too picky. Time pressure may also mean that some groups less well connected to this process are not really able to voice their opinion. For example, other ministries and national parliaments. Policy proposals that will be accepted will not reflect fully the interests put forward by a member state. They may not satisfy the views of national ministries, domestic political parties, or the interest groups in that policy area. They may be imperfect solutions to problems perceived by the public.